Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with Fabio Wardley. Fabio, good to see you. Just finished the press conference with Joe Parker. A little bit of barbs traded within the team and, of course, from opposite the table too. What do you make of some of the words and some of the... It's a bit strange that the white-collar background keeps on being brought up, considering the opposition you've been in. How do you kind of feel considering that keeps getting mentioned even though you keep climbing the ladder?
Yeah, I think it's a point to be expected now. I don't know if it's too strange, really. I don't know if I'll ever have a fight in my life where it won't be a point of conversation. But look, to this date, it's had no bearing whatsoever. I've always won. I've come through. I've always done well. So whether it's brought up or not, it's kind of shifted from being a negative to a positive, really. Of, oh my God, look where he's come from to where he is now. And that's very much how I view it as well. So, look, it's no problem. Presser has his usual back and forths. Mostly kind of respectful between me and Joe. Look, we've got confidence and we need to say those things and say it out loud. But ultimately, we both believe we're going to win.
Do you ever kind of think like, obviously boxing and heavyweight boxing is littered throughout history and some of the achievements of fighters, but maybe that you're in the wrong era because if a fighter with a background of yours who's come in and beaten more established fighters would be heralded as something mythical or legendary. Do you ever kind of think about it, maybe if you're in a different space and time, you'd be in a different kind of view or light?
Yeah, maybe. But look, you got to work with what's in front of you, and this is the era, this is the time frame I'm in right now. And to be honest, it is these last few years, I think, will be looked on as another golden age of boxing as well. So it's not a bad thing to say I'm a part of this era of boxing right now and what's going on and how busy it is, how active it is, how many great fighters there are, and how many great fights we're seeing. So yeah, again, look, I am where I am, but ultimately, I'm fortunate enough to be in fantastic fights and a great position.
Another tough and experienced fighter in the form of Joe Parker. Do you expect some of the same challenges you had in the Huni fight to be replicated in this one?
Yeah, look, he's not a Justice Huni. He is himself. He is his own man, so he is going to pose his own problems and different from Justice Huni. I don't doubt there's going to be situations and moments I'm going to have to overcome, but one thing I have proven that you know about me is that I manage to find a way, by hook or by crook or whichever way, I get through and I get the win. And I think that's the most important thing.
The danger of being a puncher is one, being able to execute that punch, and that's brilliant from your point of view. But then from the media side and the pundit side, is that you're looked at as a puncher and as someone who would just be in, or looking to be in a position to just land that punch. Do you feel that some of the other assets of your game are being undermined or overlooked? As in terms of a boxer, a lot of the game planning happens with Ben Davis at the Performance Center. Do you feel like the IQ side and the boxing side isn't being looked at enough?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it is being overlooked, but look, that's fine for me because I'm not running around asking for credit for things. I don't need it, but if people are going to overlook it and step into the ring that thinking I've just got a big right hand, then they're doing themselves a disservice, and that's not for me to try and help them out and do them a favor and go, no, 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 pay attention to X, Y, Z. Okay, cool. That's fine by me. And you're right. I do have that in my game, but I also have an array of other skills as well.
What does Ben say, as much as you can say, about Joe and maybe where some of his weaknesses lie?
Yeah, look, it's not really something I can delve into too deeply, but there are spaces there, there are gaps there that have been identified in previous fights, even in the last three that he's had, in momentary spaces. There have been moments where he's been caught, hurt, rocked, kind of, and don't get me wrong, resilience, grit, got up and come through and won. But even most recently, they've been identified. They are there. But I'm clearly not perfect either. We've all got flaws, but there is a lot there that I see that me and my game will be able to exploit.
What do you put down to Joe's recent run of form? Obviously, last seen him have the defeat to Joe Joyce, but then being on that straight run and knocking up some brilliant wins. But for your own fighter's eye, what do you think has been the real change in himself?
I think obviously, I think Joe would probably agree. The biggest change he's made is obviously adding Andy Lee to the team, and that has really added to the rise and the increase that he's been on. Obviously, everyone's really paying attention to these last three fights. I think if you're a realist, you'd probably discount the most recent. But even still, you go back and you just see an improvement of performance, an improvement of person, or improvement of fighter even. So, yeah, look, there's a lot to be said about that. But ultimately, I'm a different kettle of fish.
You get the win as you plan to do. Do you believe that you fight Oleksandr Usyk for the belt, or do you think he might choose to vacate?
That's a big question mark. I don't know. I don't know what his plans are. Look, he's 37, 38 maybe. He maybe, don't get me wrong, he's had some really big fights and I can imagine some really big paydays. So he's not really in it for the money, I can imagine, too much anymore. Not that that's really something I'd really put on him in the first place, but he might just think that a fight with Fabio Wardley is not particularly exciting for him, or however way. Who knows? Or he might see that kid that he sparred 7, 8 years ago and might find it very intriguing to see where I'm at that however many years later and to share an actual professional ring with me. So we'll see.
Does it matter to you to fight Usyk? Do you want that challenge? Would you rather just become world champion? Does it really bother you if you get in the ring with him or not?
Ultimately, I want to test myself against the best out there. Hence, in this instance, why I've picked Joseph Parker, and obviously I'd love to have a fight with Oleksandr Usyk as well. But the world title in and of itself is the ultimate goal. Whether I fight you for it or I fight Usyk for it, it doesn't matter. All I want is that belt around my waist.
Certainly not going to be me. I'm not a heavyweight, nor am I as accomplished as you as a fighter. I do try to throw a few punches though as well. But forget about punching. What about dancing? When you saw the video of Oleksandr Usyk, which he's obviously asked for the exemption from the governing body for time, considering he had an injury, but the dance showed him use essentially every single limb to execute what he was doing. Is great, mind you. But what did you take from looking at that video?
Yeah, look, it's not really my place to comment. I think that the WBO made a release, or they made a statement to say, look, they've granted him his 90-day. He provided the requested medical whatever reasonings, paperwork, whatever you want for it, and they were happy to accept it. So it's not for me to tell them how to do their jobs. It's not for me to tell a fighter how injured they are or how injured they seem. I don't trust in. I wouldn't put that on Oleksandr Usyk's character to say he's a liar or a fraud or trying to pull the wool over someone's eyes. I think it is very different having a little shimmy and a dance to actually being ready for a competitive professional bout, especially at this high level.
I'll close off with the subject of, obviously, you've extended your family now and that you've got a child. How does that change your mentality with boxing? There's two sides of the coin. That obviously every punch is now, you can maybe look at it as jeopardy in a sense, but also you're building legacy for your child and a future for them. How has that changed your mentality, considering that you've now got a baby girl?
Yeah, look, I was always heavily ambitious in the first instance, even without a family. But obviously, having that there is a great just daily reminder of what you're doing it for, who it's for, the why, really, the reasoning behind it all. Don't get me wrong, there's some ego, selfishness in there. I'm doing it for me as well, but as well as I'm doing it for them, to have a better life and to provide for my family. So it does add very nicely, and also it's a nice little daily breakaway from what is a very hard job of being a professional boxer, training multiple times a day and everything else, and then you come home to a smiley little face who doesn't care that you're about to sell out the O2. They just want to see you and play around.
Would you want her to box?
No, absolutely not.
Why?
I've done enough I will have done enough boxing for the pair of us, so no thank you.
Fair enough, Fabio. Well, we'll see you boxing in the ring October 25th against Joe Parker. Thank you for speaking to Seconds Out. Wish you all the best.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.